Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop. Yet another Cosman dovetail video, but I want to make sure that this does not get lost because the videos have been too long. So I'm going to try to do a short one. This is for advanced dovetailers. If you're like me, the dreaded part of the joint was about to be done, meaning the pin board. Now I've already got the tail board done. I'm putting this piece of masking tape on to highlight a very faint marking gauge line, which is faint because I don't want to have to remove a deep line on the surface of this piece. So I'm going to put my pin board in there, get it flush with the top of the plane. Now this is new. Now here's my tail board. Tail board's already been cut, and there's a good healthy rabbet on the back of that. I'm going to put a piece of tape on here as well so I can easily identify that line. Now set the plane back, way back. That pin board, that rabbet really registers well. Take my marking gauge. I'm going to measure the thickness. Make sure you hear it drop of my dovetail saw kerf. Put this back on. Now I'm referencing off the bottom on this one, so if you've seen me do this before and you're wondering why the change, just because that's the part I'm using as a reference. Make sure that rabbet is good and tight, which also means make sure it's good and clean. Now I offset to my right. I'm going to go to the left of each tail, reach down there and clearly mark. Now I'm using this dovetail marking knife to get that curve started across the entire width of the pin board. So reach way into the back. Okay, I've gone through with the knife and I've marked where the the kerf is going to start. Now what I'm going to do is carefully, and when I say carefully I mean literally, let gravity pull it in, put the saw in the kerf from the tail board, and ever so lightly, again let gravity do the work, saw down the face of the pin board. Careful not to go past the tape on either one. You don't want errant saw marks. And if you do this carefully enough so that you don't mess up that kerf on the tail board, and if the cut you made on the tail board was perpendicular, which that's the critical factor here, this will start that cut down the face of your pin board, plumb, which has always been a major hurdle in getting a good dovetail. And this just takes all the guesswork out of it. Now some folks have a hard time reaching around like this, but once you do it a few times, it's not that difficult. You've got to let gravity pull that in. If you force it, you're going to wreck something. Ever so lightly. If you were to look at how loosely I'm holding a saw, you appreciate just how light of a touch I'm using. Now let me get this last one done, and then I'll show you how to finish this without having to make another mark on the board. Alright, take that off. There you got your kerfs already started. It's almost finished. But I want to be able to use that face mark to guide the cut. So I'm going to raise this up, and if it flops around or vibrates bad when you're sawing, you can just put another board behind it. Even though I almost don't even have to bother with this out of habit, I always make sure it's standing plumb. Now, you want to start on an angle like this so that the kerf is grabbing the saw as much as possible. And then just come up and over the top. Again, barely holding the saw, and just finish that cut. No marks to follow. You could do it in the dark. And I'm just cutting down to the tape. And that's the reason I wanted to do this short video, so that you don't miss learning this way of doing it. Such a huge advantage. Good luck with your dovetails.